We'll take off from where Loretta left off in that report. We're now being joined by Mr. Sam Omatseye. He is the chairman, editorial board of the nation's newspapers and also a public affairs analyst. Good to have you join us this morning. Happy New Year.
And to you.
You've been looking at, I think it's become more or less like a tradition, especially for the forter state of the realm, to look at expectations in the new year, every year in, year out. Yeah. And sometimes some would say it's deja vu. We've seen it before because expectations sometimes don't change in some key sectors of our national life. But again, let's start off with you and tell us your thinking for the year and what you expect. But you put that in the perspective of what has happened in the 2016 to see if some of these key issues or sectors have actually started off on a better footing.
Well, first you look at the main issue, so the average Nigerian, which is food on the table. As you've seen in the preceding footage, many people believe that the food is not there on the table. And when you cannot take care of food on the table, you have problems. And so that's where you start from. You discover that last year we had a budget. The budget did not pass on time, and when it did, there was no sense of momentum, no sense of urgency to the implementation of the budget. But most importantly, it is not the issue of whether it's 2016 or 2017. It is whether there is a vision for this economy or for this society by the federal government. And I don't think there has been a well-calibrated, systematic, or even systematized sense of direction. So if we don't have that, you're going to get this idea of everybody going off on their own tangents. And that's what we're having, right now, because you want food, but don't just have food, you have to have a clear agricultural policy. And clear agricultural policy does not work unless there's a clearer and bigger and well-defined economic policy. And you don't have a great economic policy unless there's a well-defined political culture. And political culture itself is riveted on a great sense of values. And we have all of this going off on their own tangents. So how can you have food on the table?
So much you paint a bleak picture. I mean, political culture. Those that are there that might not really agree with you, they might tell you that they're trying to change a system that has been for a long time. So they also need time to be able to put it together.
Yeah. We're waiting, aren't we? We're waiting for them to put them together. But first, you have to give us a sense that you are actually putting them together.
Is this about communication?
Well, you have to have something to communicate before you communicate. You have to.
So you think this, some of the policies being mounted by some of the key sectors, for instance, the agriculture sector, especially now that you also talked about food, hasn't been, or is not there. So,
Well, if you talk about agriculture, look at what has been going on in Lagos State, for instance. The tie-up between the Imbibe government and the government of Kebbi. It didn't take much time before we started seeing it yield fruits. It was well calibrated, it was well defined. And there was a sense of purpose and urgency to it. The point is that we have to have a sense of urgency, a sense of definition. Before we have
what exactly is happening? Because now you've brought it to what we started off. It was this week. We started off looking at speed, pace, urgency, sense of urgency, which was lacking even from 2015. It took time before the cabinet was constituted.
It's good you're talking about cabinet, because look at Donald Trump. Whether you like him for his, you don't like him for his bigotry, for his imbecile rhetoric and his lack of tact.
I think
even in spite of that, we discover that
that's not a good word to use for the president-elect of a country.
Of a country? No. He has used words. I mean, there is great imbecility about.
We shouldn't get into the arena.
But even if you don't agree with him in whatever he says, he has not even started. His cabinet is already set. For most part, he has probably 4 or 5 positions yet to fill. We didn't fill our cabinet until probably half a year after inauguration. There was no sense of urgency. So if you don't have sense of urgency, then why do you expect sense of urgency now? I mean, let us get a sense of
now we're talking about 2017.
Because the campaign itself was marked by a sense of urgency and momentum, right? And then even the euphoria.
At what point did the government lose it?
At the beginning.
From the word go?
From the word go.
But
they can still get his acts back. The point, though, is that time is of the essence.
Is it when you said they lost from the beginning? Is it that they did not transfer the urgency they had during the campaigns to governance? To governance.
Yes.
How would that have been done?
That have been done. One, first clarifying your vision, making sure you communicate what that vision is. 2, you get your team. Let each member of the team gets cracking, and there's a sense that A knows what B is doing. The point is that he has a team, and the team, very brilliant people in the team. Fashola, you have Amechi, you have a number of them, very brilliant people. But you can have a great team, a great football team, but you need a great coach.
But you also agree that
you have to have a great vision for that team. Yes, great players.
You know the fear here is when you start to mention names. And for some, they will say, "Why don't you also allow Mr. Omatseye mention some names that are not very active, that are not very efficient?"
You know,
because now for 2017, the president or the presidency has hinted that there might be a cabinet reshuffle or change, and if we're expecting that to happen this year. If you have been able to highlight some of the key ministries with the helmsmen there, let's also look at some other ministries that you think we should rejig in this year.
Well, I have a fundamental objection to the whole idea of saying that when you have a cabinet reshuffle, therefore you have changed things. It's just like moving and staying at the same spot simultaneously. The question is not cabinet reshuffle. You're still going to have people there. The point is, if you have these people, I mean, there's nothing wrong with these guys there. There's nothing wrong. The question is, what direction, what sense of momentum are you going with? I mean, if you change, if you do the reshuffle tomorrow, we're going to have the same problem if the fundamental issue of how to govern, how to communicate is not addressed.
Let me bring in Maokwe here. Maokwe.
I'm a little taken aback with Mr. Omatseye's stance this morning. Mr. Omatseye, a lot of Nigerians will blame you as part of the people who they might claim, so they're a dummy. Would you take responsibility for it?
Responsibility for what? What dummy did I say?
Well, because a lot of people had high hopes with this new government. You thoroughly criticized the last administration.
Yes.
You found almost nothing good with it, and you were very hopeful that this one was going to bring was going to bring good, as it were. But you don't seem satisfied with what is being projected currently.
Yeah, that's fair. That was a very great critic of the Jonathan administration. For its lack of purpose, for its naivety and all of that. And I also thought that the Buhari administration will be a lot better. But take nothing from Buhari. There's a signal achievement, which is his handling of the insurgency in the Northeast. He has done a very marvelous job at that so far. And you must give him credit. He has done some things with regard to the war or corruption, except that much of it is about optics rather than substance. And it has to move from optics to substance. But having said that, from the very fundamental issue of handling governance, coming out with a blueprint on the economy, on culture, a blueprint on values, and also driving it with your personality, I think he has fallen short. And to that extent, you can say that as a pundit, it is your idea. They say one thing about prophecy is that you prophesy. Once you prophesy as a prophet, you leave it at that. You cannot sit down and allow the prophecy to come to pass. The Bible says that you know, when you have prophecy, then you also need warfare. In other words, prophecy does not, you don't prophesy into the air and just allow it to generate fruit. So to that extent, you can say that, well, I did my job and I'm doing it again.
We'll come back and look at some of these issues more and more deeply. I want us to stay on some of those sectors we're trying to look at. That'll be when we return. Stay with us.